This is NDTV, and you're watching NDTV 24/7.
Hello and welcome to a very special edition of The Big Fight. We're breaking with format because there's a lot happening. Maria, of course, but we are also going to break away from Maria for just an hour or so, if you will permit us to, because there is an issue of major national importance that has to be discussed. Anna Hazare met Sonia Gandhi today. Tomorrow there's an all-party meeting. The question of corruption, which affects every single Indian, is up for discussion. Tomorrow there's going to be an all-party meeting that is going to discuss what exactly the Lokpal Bill should be like. And the BJP has now said it is going to be joining. So that's what we're going to be discussing. But before we get into the discussion, let's just quickly sum up for you all that happened today, a day before this all-party meeting. First of all, as I said, Anna Hazare, the person who's been leading the civil society version of the Lokpal Bill, went in to meet Sonia Gandhi. This is what he said on emerging.
लोकपाल बिल का ड्राफ्ट जो है सरकार ने जो बनाया, हमने जो बनाया, तो पार्लियामेंट में सही ड्राफ्ट जाना चाहिए। बिल्कुल, तो पार्लियामेंट में चर्चा होगी। आप चाहते हैं दोनों ड्राफ्ट पे अधूरा भेज रहे तो चर्चा क्या होगी? अभी जो वो ड्राफ्ट सही भेजने के लिए हम जो गवर्नमेंट को बताया कि अगर ये सही ड्राफ्ट नहीं जाता तो 16 तारीख को जंतर मंतर पर अनशन होगा। सोनिया जी ने बता दिया, आपने बताया कि वो ड्राफ्ट सही जाना चाहिए। पार्लियामेंट में जाने के बाद फिर हमारा कोई प्रेशर नहीं, हम उससे कोई नहीं कहेंगे कि लोकशाही का हम स्वीकार किया है।
The other interesting development which then followed was the Congress party's own reaction to this entire meeting. The Congress has been downplaying this meeting for a while, but this is what Janardhan Trivedi said as soon as that meeting finished.
कांग्रेस अध्यक्ष ने श्री अन्ना हजारे को कहा कि आपकी सारी बातें और आपका ड्राफ्ट संयुक्त समिति और सरकार के पास है, लेकिन आपने चूंकि आज मिलकर इस पर मुझसे बात की है, इसलिए मैं इन बातों को फिर से अपने सहयोगियों के सामने रखूंगी।
So that's insofar as Anna Hazare and Sonia Gandhi go. The other question before the all-party meeting is whether the BJP was going to turn up or not. Now, finally, the BJP broke its silence on the entire question today after a meeting, and Mr. Advani came up to say that the NDA is going to be attending the all-party meeting, which has been called for by the Prime Minister. The Shiv Sena won't be there. The rest of the NDA is going to attend. This is what L.K. Advani said earlier in the day.
इस बीच में हमारे एक दल ने निर्णय किया कि वो नहीं आएंगे। उन्होंने हमको कहलवाया कि हमने निर्णय किया है कि हम नहीं जाएंगे, और शिवसेना ने तो उनको अभी हम कन्वे करेंगे कि हमने निर्णय किया है कि हम जाएंगे, और मैं आशा करता हूं कि वे भी अपने उस पर पुनर्विचार करेंगे। और हम चाहेंगे एक बात कि हम जो कुछ भी कहेंगे उसमें से ऐसा विधेयक बने कि जिसमें से एक सशक्त और प्रभावी लोकपाल आए जो भ्रष्टाचार को सब स्तरों पर रोक सके।
All right, one final aspect to consider is what the other political parties are going to be saying at this all-party meeting. What, for example, is the left going to be saying? Mr. D. Raja is going to be joining us in a second or two right here as part of the debate. But what is the CPM saying? Prakash Karat on the Lokpal Bill a little earlier in the day.
It should be independent. It should be able to have autonomy. But at the same time, the Lokpal has to work within the constitutional framework. We require a National Judicial Commission to oversee the conduct of the higher judiciary. Safeguards can be built into this, but the Prime Minister, along with the Council of Ministers, should be under the purview of this Lokpal law.
All right, so where exactly do we stand? There are some really crucial issues that need to be discussed by this nation. First of all, There is a national mood against corruption, that there is no doubt about. But what form should the Lokpal Bill actually take? Should it be the version civil society is throwing up? Should it be the government's version? Should it be something completely new that this whole party meeting is going to throw up? That's issue number one that we're going to discuss. Issue number two, where exactly does all of this leave the democratic process? Is there something undemocratic in a group of people standing up and saying, we actually represent the nation? Joining us to discuss all of that, Renuka Chaudhary is with us. We have Sohail Seth right here in the studio. Mr. D. Raja is with us. Dilip Bhatgaonkar also with us. Rajiv Pratap Rudy is joining us in just a minute or two, as indeed is Kiran Bedi. Salman Khurshid also going to be talking to us a short while from now. Exhaustive panel which is going to take a look at all aspects of this really crucial issue. Renuka, now that you're with us, I'm almost tempted to start by asking you about the Maria murder, unless you'd rather discuss the Lokpal Bill and anti-corruption. Feel free to say something about Maria and the Neeraj Grover murder if you prefer.
Well, no, I'd rather discuss the Lokpal than that, because I think the law has taken a stand on that, and we need to look at the Lokpal, because this is something that we have been working on, and Mrs. Gandhi was steering this when this whole thing erupted into the public domain, and I'm happy that today this meeting took place, and Mr. Hazare should be happy too.
Okay, Mr. Hazare should be
very
happy
confident that what will come out is...
Mr. Hazare should be happy too. Fine, that's one viewpoint. Mr. Raj, I just want to ask you, this country is right now trying to discuss a question like corruption, and one of the reasons why civil society and the media have suddenly become almost the champions of the anti-corruption movement is because many people feel that the politicians have taken a backstage on this, and the politicians have done nothing much for 60 years. It's led to a vacuum which some consider a dangerous vacuum. Is that a fair way to look at it?
I do not think there is a vacuum. I do not think that political parties have not done enough. There is a lot more to do. That's a different thing. The last year, during winter session, the issue of corruption was raised by political parties. Parliament could not function for the whole winter session. The political parties, they raised the issue. They demanded the constitution of JPC, and government did not agree. That is why the parliament session could not be held, and there was no civil society, there was no other independent organization which forced parliament not to function. So it was political parties. We are a democracy. We have a vibrant parliament, and we should have respect for our parliament. We should have respect for our political process. And now why government has called this all-party meeting? Good sense has prevailed upon the government, and they cannot undermine the political process. Even civil societies and the so-called civil society, they are knocking at all the doors of political parties. Why? Civil society also has realized there is a political process.
At the end of the day, it's a political process you have to leave it to. Kiran Bedi now joining us. Kiran Bedi, today was the day Anna Hazare went and met Sonia Gandhi. But as Mr. Raja said, we have seen civil society largely talking to the politicians now, and tomorrow at the all-party meeting, at the end of the day, has civil society also realized that if someone has to fight corruption, it has to be the political parties within the existing political system. Would that be a fair summing up, or do you think at the end of the day, civil society should lead the charge?
Vikram, we never ignored the civil society, we never ignored the politicians. At every stage, we've engaged them. From December till March, Arvind Kejriwal, Anna Hazare, all of us, Prashant Bhushan and team, continue to reach out to the political parties. We had an all-party meeting and they all attended it. The best part is that, barring Congress, every party attended our meeting. It was sometime in January or so, where we discussed the bill. And they, in fact, in principle, appreciated the effort. So why? And even then, Congress, we went up to the Prime Minister asking for appointment. So nobody can blame that we, as a group speaking up for people, did not value the political process. Of course, we engaged them, and they engaged with us. They talked about it. We gave them all a draft. And then, when nobody took cognizance of it,
right? Renuka Chaudhary, tomorrow at the all-party meeting, I guess the question again is, which I asked Mr. Raja, has there been a vacuum in a sense? The reason why civil society and media have become the spokespersons for the entire anti-corruption movement is because there's a perception that the politicians will not do anything about it.
You know, it's very unfortunate. We've just become a nation of cynics where we love politician bashing. But at the end of the day, it is the politician who is the accountable person. And perhaps the most transparent thing in the world is politics. There are no secrets. You can't keep any secrets in politics. And we were engaged in the business of bringing about this argument. It didn't matter whether we were in the ruling government or in the opposition. The fact of the matter is that the political society was working on this. It's another matter that because of the media bringing it into public domain, that a lot of people jumped onto this bandwagon, which is all very well. We accept that because in a democracy we expect that citizens will react to us and that they will put in what they see. But then to be held under duress, to be working with a gun to your forehead, it doesn't work. At the end of the day, it comes back to Parliament. It is only Parliament that can deliver, and that is something that you must
Mr. Rudy, let me get you in on that note. The BJP finally deciding you are attending the all-party meeting. First of all, why did you take so much time to decide this? At the end of the day, don't you think the politicians need to take a stance on this? And while I'm asking that question, has the BJP made up its mind what its stance is on the Lokpal Bill? Because I haven't heard anything about it yet.
Well, before I come to that aspect, you had earlier asked a very good question that why is
I always ask good questions.
Is that why do civil societies...
Why are you sounding so surprised by that?
Well, let me just start on that issue which you had asked earlier. The fact remains that let's forget the Bharatiya Janata Party, which may be raising the issue of corruption, or for that matter, my friend Mr. Raja and his left parties are raising it. Let's forget that issue. But the Congress per se, which is been there in government for last 7 years, when it chooses to ignore the voice of the opposition, whether it does or not, but I think it has been very dismissive, because when it came to the Supreme Court, it is only when the CAG gets in, when the CAG...
Redika trying to say something to you.
No, just let me complete before. When the CAG gets in, then the government gets on to, and Suresh Kalmadi goes to jail, or for that matter, Raja goes to jail. It's not when the political process is on. So it's why it has been the choice of the government to dismiss the voice of the opposition. Naturally, when the whole country has been witnessing that the Congress has chosen to completely brush aside the charges against it. Even the Prime Minister, for that matter, has always acted very lukewarm on the charges made against his minister. So now what happens? It's very natural when other people see all this happening, they get into the fray, they raise this voice, because it's a complete reaction to the functioning of the government. Now, point A.
I've heard you, and I'm asking what's your view on all of this. Why did you take so long to say I'm going to come for all-party meeting? The points are making a completely valid.
Excellent question.
As always, you're about to
always, because this is the only way to stop you.
Okay. What's the way to stop you, by the way?
No, that is the question. You would always say what you want to say.
By asking the
point has been there that all throughout this period of time, the Congress never thought it important to talk to the left parties or the BJP or Samajwadi Party, and they are clueless about an argument which they are building up with the civil rights activists. Once they are caught in a cobweb, they want us to come and speak. Very fine. We have said tomorrow in the all-party meeting, the Bharatiya Janata Party and NDA is participating. So as far as what we are going to talk is, I am not the person who is going to speak for you and tell the people. It's my party leaders, the NDA. They will decide and talk.
I'm just curious. Do you have a stance or do you not have a stance?
There is a national opposition party. We will not be coerced by the Congress party to answer questions on a platform which you may be having a manifest to say that this is a question which I'll ask Mr. Rudy and I'll tell it to you. It cannot be a question like
come on.
Mr.
Rudy, let's not go down. Let's not go down ridiculous track.
Because
I'm entitled to ask you a
national political party does not have a stand. How can it ever be possible that a national political party...
I'm asking you what the
process adopted by the Congress, when they are completely fixed up now, they are in a problem. They want to rush to BJP, they want to rush to other people, they want to rush to left party, they want to... And they want to find... No, we will come back with a... We will come back... Definitely. And our participation is only when we have clause by clause. We want to come back. I do not know.
I'm going to go clause by clause, and I'm going to get Kiran Bedi in. I'm going to get Kiran Bedi in on a clause by clause look at the Lokpal Bill as well. But first, so here, one of the questions, I mean, one, what should this entire Lokpal Bill emerge at? And secondly, are you somewhat bemused of this entire process that you have, for a long period of time, the entire anti-corruption movement is in the hands of the media or in the hands of civil society, politicians taking a backseat. Maybe it will return to politics tomorrow.
No,
I'm talking about a perception, Mr. Raja.
What I'm amused at is not about this. I'm amused that corruption has suddenly become a big issue. I mean, it's as if it didn't exist 20, 30 years ago. It's as if we were such a holier-than-thou nation. Suddenly we've been afflicted with corruption. I think there are three things that have happened. Number one, people have lost faith in politicians and politics, which is not a good thing for the country. Because if you respect democracy, you
So
have
Raja
to
doesn't
respect...
agree with you.
No, but he may
I
not
do not
agree. I mean,
agree.
the fact is that his
Go ahead.
party has been... I mean, not his party, but you've heard what's happened to the left in West Bengal. So
No,
let's
let us
go to
not
that
go
as
to
a separate
West
issue.
Bengal.
I don't want to... See, this is it. Politicians will never allow you to build an argument. They will, you know, interrupt. So let me finish my thought. There is antipathy, and Renuka is right. Renuka is right. There is cynicism, but the cynicism has reason. So the second thing that happened was Anna Hazare was able to engage and therefore harness the enragement or the rage of lots of young people. So all those candlelight vigils and all that stuff happened. The government then assumed, much to my horror as an individual, that these were the Panch Pyare, the 5 people that represented all of civil society. And what then happened was the agenda was hijacked by society rather than by political parties. The good news is that Anna Hazare has been able to galvanize a country to be concerned with corruption, and hopefully tomorrow it will get back to the democratic process.
Back to the democratic process tomorrow. Hijacked by civil society and media also? Has the media also been tapping into this mood of national outrage to really take the issue, or has the media been taking a responsible role?
You started by saying there was a vacuum, and the vacuum has been filled by the media and so-called civil society groups. And the question, therefore, to ask is whether the political establishment, which has to be at all times close to their constituency because they are elected representatives, why is it that they couldn't see this mood against corruption rising? All right. So the question is, I completely agree with Comrade Raja and all the rest that the political process ought to be supreme. It cannot be held to ransom by self-appointed people representing civil society. But at the same time, let me tell you, there has been on this issue a disconnect between the elected representatives and the people. And this has now...
Let me just get Kiran Bedi on that. Kiran Bedi, has this is essentially the substance of the charge of what is being made against the Anna Hazare group or civil society, that who at the end of the day appointed you or elected you or nominated you to become the spokespeople for this nation on the issue of corruption. That, I think, sums up what the argument is.
You asking me, Vikram?
I'm asking you, Kiran.
Oh, what happens is that this movement, a group of people started to draft a counter draft of the Lokpal Bill. Now that group took the leadership and continued to coordinate, take initiative, galvanize people, work on workshops, hold seminars, check out with people. That's how they became the face of that movement. Because somebody needs to be coordinated. As I said, and they became the face. So you start to call us on panel discussions. We start to share with you what was going on. I think 2 things happened, Vikram, if you give me 1 minute. One is corruption had become a nationwide issue. Now the option for the political parties was either to make it exclusive or make it inclusive. That did not happen. And that is how we continue to be the face and speaking up for the organization. Secondly, Parliament had an option.
Corruption,
they could have called for an emergency session.
Corruption became
an issue. Please, can I complete?
Oh, sorry.
Can I complete?
Yeah, but Vikram asked me, not me.
So I think yeah, I'm asking Vikram. And the second point is, we were looking for an emergency session of Parliament. Nothing happened. You went on to long adjournments. But it was a great case when it was a nationwide issue of corruption. Why didn't somebody clamor for an emergency session of the Parliament and discuss the issue and take the initiative in their hands? Nothing happened. Which is why we became the face of this movement.
Okay. Suhail, do you have a problem with that?
No. I'm coming to the nub of the issue. Corruption became an issue when it was seen in conjunct with national pride. Suresh Kalmadi was the first face of public corruption at the cost of the nation and the cost of national pride. Are you trying to say that the
country hasn't bothered about or cared about corruption before that? Maybe the middle class were all excited. But the average person in this country lives with corruption on a day-to-day basis.
Rightly or wrongly, you need symbols, you need visual symbols. And when that happened, there was a huge amount of rage in the country.
Disagree with that?
Well, I tell you what, first of all, I begin by disagreeing with Comrade Raja. They say that the opposition is raising issues and asking for JPC and so on and so forth. The fact is, please look at any address that the PM has given at the Red Fort, any address that the President has given to Parliament, any opposition leader speeches, how often and with what insistence has the issue of corruption featured. Number one. Number two, the opposition has certainly done its job well by asking for the JPC, by signaling the 2G scam and so on and so forth. What I think the Anna Hazare campaign has done is to draw attention to the systemic flaws.
Correct.
And it is the systemic flaws and not individual cases of corruption that you need to discuss.
Fine. Let me just get down to some specifics right now at this point. And Kiran Bedi, when you look at what the subject is of immediate debate, which is no doubt going to be discussed at this all-party meeting tomorrow, is the Lokpal Bill itself. And there seem to be two versions. There's the Anna Hazare group version of the Lokpal Bill and the government version of it. And there are many substantial differences that we are going to be flashing up on the screen as well, the essential differences between the two. I guess maybe you'd like to talk about some of those differences and why you think you are asking for such strong and major powers for the Lokpal. At the end of it, if you are to summarize those differences, you seem to be wanting a Lokpal who's almost if not a mini dictator. Dictator is a pejorative word, but you want somebody who's got almost overriding powers, a massive budget, a mini army, a parallel authority, if
and
you
what
like.
if the Lokpal
and
is corrupt?
people are concerned about that.
And what if you have a Lokpal who's corrupt?
And that's the concern. So he'll just express the concern.
Yeah,
what happens if the Lokpal himself goes back? So, Kiran Bedi, you want to summarize the differences, then I'm going to ask the politicians about it.
Vikram, the key is, what is the demand of this country? Is to have an independent anti-corruption authority. We do not have an independent anti-corruption authority so far. That's the raison d'etat on having a Lokpal Bill. Now, it's independent anti-corruption authority. CBI has not been independent, which is why the Supreme Court has been intervening time to time, and which is why the Kalmadi and party are today behind the bar. Had the CBI been independent, you would not have come to this situation. It's the PILs which are driving the justice system. It's not the CBI, the FIRs. CBI is being driven to investigate correctly. So we are looking for an independent anti-corruption agency. Now, the same Lokpal, which now the government is bringing, is not giving the anti-corruption wing of the CBI, which is those 2,000 officers, into the so it's making two police stations in one village. They're giving an independent authority, yet keeping the anti-corruption separate, and they are barring the Lokpal, the new creation of Lokpal, for anything which is pending with the CBI, whether it's an inquiry, whether it's an investigation or a trial. How can you have two police stations in one village?
All right, Kiran Bedi, as I said, we are showing graphics on what the exact specific differences between the two versions are. I want to get all of you to continue to talk about these differences. Renuka Chaudhary, the sum and substance of what the government seems to be saying, as we've heard it articulated, is that at the end of the day, this is a democracy. There's a system of constitutional checks and balances. No one power can become so large that it's a mini dictator, it's slightly dictatorial. Does that sum it up?
Yes, Vikram. I mean, it answers itself. I mean, all that bluster that I hear from Kiran Bedi, at the end of the day, she has to answer who appoints the Lokpal and how do you check the Lokpal then? Who Lokpals the Lokpal? Are you saying that the saint is going to descend by someone with incredible credentials? The whole setup so far in the country, don't make it sound like it's something gone rogue or wild and are running rampant. There are positive checks and preventive checks. And there are checks that can be put into place even afterwards. But ultimately, you have to have a credibility of the constitutional checks that you've got to see. Someone just arrives and they're supposed to be the local
I hear you, Renuka. Mr. Rudy wants to say something. Mr. Raja, I'm going to take a break. I think this is now the nub of what the entire discussion is about. So I just want to see where everyone stands.
My only submission here is there have been checks. But what the checks have been there, still so much corruption is there. So question arises whether this institution which they are talking, but at the end of the day, when the checks have not worked, people do strive to find something alternative, and this is an effort.
But are you okay with this then? Mr. Rudy, let's remember one thing.
You see, the people are completely disappointed.
Whatever the system that we come up with.
Just a second. People are completely disappointed.
I agree.
There is a complete chaos, people say, and politicians are perceived as people persona non grata now.
I agree.
Now, having said that, there is a group which is working. Let us see what they have to offer.
You see what they have to offer. They drafted submissions.
Why do you have to dismiss it? Why is Renuka so dismissive?
what you feel.
No, we feel very strongly there is a need for a
So you back the version that you back the Jan Lokpal Bill.
No, there is some light there. Possibly something may emerge which may.
You would like a parallel body.
Yes, let us see what they have to offer. Let us see what alternatives.
I'm saying the two drafts are there.
If Kiran Bedi is saying something, she is saying something. They have worked on it. They are submitting it to the government. Let's get into it and find out if there is a solution. Why are you dismissing?
I'm asking you to get into it.
I was hearing Renuka that we have checks and balances.
Other than the communists, very few political parties, I'm not saying it jokingly, other than the communists, very few political parties have been non-corrupt. So, you know, is hamam mein sab nange hain, by and large. My issue is, as Renuka also mentioned, Kiran spoke about it. My issue is
there is corruption in every part of society.
My issue is,
Suhail, should I get back into that?
No. My issue is very simple.
We have corruption in judiciary, we have corruption in corporate world, we have corruption in media.
You people are represented there. You people are represented.
Please, just a second.
This is the facetious, facile argument. Corruption was an issue when BJP was in power.
Yes, there is.
Why did the BJP not table the Lokpal Bill?
That is exactly my point. Corruption is not an isolated thing. That is only.
I'm asking you a simple question. It's not Rudy. I should be bothered about the BJP. I'm asking you a simple question. This country has not only been run by the Congress party. It has also, one minute, now let me finish. It has also been run by the BJP. If the BJP is so concerned, as it rightly should be, I'm asking a very simple question. What happened in the 5 years when they were there and they could have rallied around a Lokpal Bill? So there, to my mind, is a systemic failure. It is not a failure related to
the left parties
a
were also
political
there with
party.
the Congress party.
So let me ask
the left parties were also there with the Congress party.
Correct. Absolutely.
Your idea to isolate one political party and
I'm
say
saying
everyone
all.
is a cheat, everyone is a cheat. This is a society which has an effect on corporate.
Mr. Padgaonkar, hang on. I'm trying to get you down. If this is what's going to happen in the all-party meeting tomorrow, not that Suhail is going to be there in the all-party meeting. Unfortunately,
I've been invited to represent civil society and NDTV.
Okay, thank you. I didn't know NDTV was invited, but now that you mention it. Okay, the substantive point I'm again asking is, you have two drafts, Mr. Padgaonkar. I want to actually ask Mr. Raja first before I come to you. There are two drafts. One has a very strong Lokpal with massive overriding powers. The other draft has a much more lukewarm Lokpal. To your mind, which of them is a better idea? No. And I've told you why these are important questions. Should you have an extra constitutional body or should you not?
Listen to me. We have been given two versions of the draft bill. Finally, how parliament functions, how political process functions in our country. The government will have to adopt any draft as its draft, and government alone can move the official legislation. As member of parliament, I have the right to move a bill. It is a private member bill, but an official draft has to be moved by the government. Government will have to own up any version. Which draft government is going to own up, we do not know. And suddenly government, to good sense, has prevailed upon government. Government has called this all-party meeting. And initially the government has set a wrong precedent, undermining the parliament, undermining the political parties, undermining the
so you're saying talking to them was undermining the parliamentary system? They should have never got, when they asked civil society to come in and draft it.
You don't put your words in
my mouth. No, I'm asking you if that's what you mean.
What I am saying, they can speak to civil society, they can speak to any X, Y individual citizen. Even we get inputs from individual citizens, that is not the issue. But government should have told everybody, we will have to go through a political process. After all, we are a democracy. We will have to consult parliament, we will have to consult political parties. That stand government should have taken initially.
Right at the start. Fine. Mr. Padgaonkar, I have to take a break right now. So let me hear Mr. Padgaonkar. I'll take a break. We'll continue this.
I'd like to ask the political leaders here, why is it that for the past 60 years, every time you can't implement a law, all that Parliament has done is to give so-called more teeth to that law?
Absolutely.
Number one. Number two, if an institution doesn't function, the only thing they do is to set up another institution. If the current rules, procedures, policies, institutions functioned effectively, you wouldn't need any of this. Mr. Rudy just now said that despite the balances, checks and balances haven't worked. Instead of finding out why they have not worked, you are now going in on a completely different track. And that track could be eventually subversive of parliamentary democracy.
Absolutely. And you could set another set of errors in that new machinery you may plant.
Fine. So we've got all the issues. I'm going to take a very quick break. When we come back, let's continue to see whether there is any consensus at all that is possible that is going to emerge at this all-party meeting, and then whatever the all-party meeting says tomorrow, will civil society and others, whichever groups are representing civil society, will they accept it or will they not? Let's take a look at that when we return after this break. Welcome back to a special edition of The Big Fight. We're trying to take stock of the Anna Hazare meeting with Sonia Gandhi and with other political parties. The entire group's in meeting, and now tomorrow is the all-party meeting. Where is this all headed, and are we, by the time this particular weekend is over, will we have got much closer to a strong anti-corruption law? Kiran Bedi, I think what everyone here was saying essentially was that at some point the process has to come back to the political system, and that's probably what you're going to see tomorrow. The draft that you've also heard the government essentially saying, we've engaged with civil society, now we're not necessarily going to do too much of this, we are going to take this process forward. Are you prepared for that from this point onwards, or are you going to continue to say it has to be our draft or else?
Well, Anna has said that after meeting Mrs. Gandhi today, hoping that the major corrections, because they're very serious aberrations, there's duality. There is nothing for a common man. Every little small NGO is also covered in this. The CRPC process has been totally undermined. There are many serious aberrations. And even the selection process is not guaranteed to be objective and the way we would want. I think very serious aberrations. This is not what we work for. This is not what the country needs.
Right. So Renuka Chaudhary, you're hearing what civil society or the Anna Hazare group in particular is saying. At the end of the day, if the all-party meeting or the government or the Congress party feels that they cannot accept everything that they say, will you be cowed down again by the fact that they might be going on a hunger strike,
No.
Anna Hazare?
No, I'm sorry, Vikram, I don't know. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But the point of the matter is, the very methodology that we will hold a gun to the government's head and it has to be my way or highway. And you have now, who has vetted what they are saying? How is it that these 6 people are the authority for the whole country in general? And who's going to debate that? Ultimately, when it comes into Parliament, elected representatives across the country, every district is represented in Parliament, they will debate it. So we should be able to leave it to that democratic process, that it will be addressed.
Okay, Renuka, Mr. Rudy is agreeing with you.
You are saying a very right thing, but our concern is,
you know, Mr. Rudy must learn to wait.
I know you are sitting in a very hot environment. I can understand. You don't get upset. I understand you are in a very hot environment. We can make out from here.
I'm not upset, Rudy. I'm just amazed at the low level that you have reached.
Relax.
Is it hot or warm?
Okay, hang on.
What I wanted to say is, it's very correct, and that is what we are wondering. The government should have gone and talked, prepared a draft, brought it to cabinet, approved it, brought it to Parliament, and then we should have been doing it. Why is it trying to rope in political parties and trying to preempt an action? This is a question, and then Vikram is going to come and ask us, tell us what you want to do. He is doing exactly what the other civil rights activists are doing. So this is our point. Why is the government roping in and having an all-party meeting? What is the purpose? Get us a draft. Get us a draft. Why are you doing all this? You are just trying to...
So you don't want the government to have a process of consultation?
There is a process. There is a process in Parliament. It goes to the standing committee. Sir. It goes to the standing committee. There are informal political consultations, backdoor consultations.
There is no government's draft. They have given us 2 drafts. One, Anna team's draft. The other one,
the committee of ministers.
5 ministers.
It's Panch Pyare on both sides.
5 ministers draft. Where is the government draft? That government draft will have to be moved as a legislation in the Parliament. Then that legislation will be referred to a standing committee. Then standing committee will invite views from various stakeholders.
But do you think, Mr. Raja,
law-making process.
Fine, I do want to ask you, Mr. Raja, what Mr. Rudy said, why start the entire thing with an all-party meeting? Is there something wrong in that, or at the end of the day, is it a good idea to start with consultation?
Definitely. Initially, what should have been the government's response? When the civil society raised this issue, and went for a countrywide campaign. That time, government engaged civil society. All right, government should have asked them to give inputs, to give their draft. Then government should have assured them we will go to political process. Then even Mr. Ramdev, when he announced a campaign, why the government constituted a group of ministers to go to airport, and ironically that group of ministers was headed by Mr. Pranab Mukherjee, senior minister. Why the government behaved like that?
Okay, Mr. Raj, we hear you. I'm just going to go back to the government on it.
No, I want to construct a logical hypothesis. I just want their answer. Tomorrow is an all-party meeting. Let's say Team Anna is dissatisfied with all what the political parties agree on, and he goes on a fast on August 15, as he has promised he would do. What happens then? Will we have a fast? Will we have a law? Will we have more chaos? Will we have resolution? Will we have conflict? I just want to understand where are we going?
I think is
where are we going with all of
would
this?
Dilip Gankar, I want to go back to Renuka Chaudhary and Kiran Bedi. I just want to get your thoughts on what we've heard.
All I would like the political parties to do is once again reassert the supremacy of Parliament. What this means really is that Anna Hazare and his team have tapped into the middle class contempt of politicians and politics.
I think that is absolutely accurately stated.
If you do not...
And by the way, sections of the media have done the same.
Sections of the media have done the same thing. So no matter what their other differences are, tomorrow I expect the all parties meeting to reassert Parliament supremacy.
No, so what will happen if Anna goes on a fast? I'm asking you a simple question.
My personal submission. Nothing is going to happen in the all-party meeting tomorrow.
No, please.
Nothing is going to happen. Nothing. It would be an informal consultation.
Shall I answer
this whole process was
law making is a process. It is not made one day.
Sir, I completely agree with you. All I'm asking Mr. Raja is, and Kiran is
Mr.
also
Anna
here.
Hazare should also realize law making is a process, and the Parliament is there. It's a vibrant one. You can't just bypass Parliament.
They want to short-circuit the system. Please understand. The whole idea, I think they've raised extremely important issues. No one is doubting that. What concerns me is this business of trying to override Parliament.
Okay, fine. Kiran Bedi, let me just throw that charge at you.
Should not do.
Kiran Bedi, at the end of the day, no matter how valid and everyone's agreeing with the issue that you have raised and that must be done, what Dilip Gankar is just saying is that are you in a sense undermining Parliament? Are you trying to short-circuit the entire process? And Renuka Chaudhary says you can't hold a gun to the head of the government or the nation and saying either it's our way or the highway.
Too much of a guilt speaking there, Renuka says. So that is why she gets slightly confused.
Okay, fine. Mr. Rudy says it's only guilt that makes her say that. But Kiran Bedi, your reaction?
Vikram, if we were undermining the Parliament or undermining the value of parliamentarians, why would we, as a civil society, gone before finally drafting the bill and after drafting the bill? Why would we have gone then? We filled in between a vacuum where all political parties left the matter as it is. They neither met as a special session in the Parliament, nor did they take up the matter exclusively or inclusively. We came in, but the fact is we respected it. We have aided the parliamentarians in drafting the bill which people want. Vikram, I'm in Bombay today. 95% of the people have voted in all the constituencies of Mumbai against the government draft.
Who is the people? What is your sample segment?
They have referendum. Can I please? I don't interfere with you, Renuka. Renuka,
Kiran, sorry, she's asking a valid question. 95% of who? Is it in a public meeting? Is it a national election?
Who is this segment of society?
It's a survey. Renuka, can I speak? Renuka, I wish you had read the bill in detail. There are so many safeguards in the bill that certain questions you raised would not have been raised. You would have raised different questions. So let me explain. Over 1.5 lakh people were surveyed. Vikram, over 1.5 lakh people were surveyed by volunteers. 1.5 lakh people were given the form.
Each parliament segment.
Please. Renuka, can I please, let's finish. I don't interfere in when you say. Let me complete. Over 1.5 lakhs of people were surveyed, and 95% in all the constituencies of Mumbai have rejected what the government has given. And now this group is going to go back to the members of the Parliament, all the Mumbai, and say this is what the people are saying. There's a huge disconnect. There's a disconnect between our leadership at the moment and what the people are saying, whether they're middle class or they're a lower middle class.
So you have already had a referendum, a parallel election process, and you will now get a parallel draft and parallel law-making activity. I'm in complete agreement with the concerns of the civil society. All as a logical citizen, I want to know is how will this unravel? Because this is a kind of a jalebi which everyone has helped cook. But how will this all unravel without
breaking? That's exactly what I'm sort of scratching. This show is about trying to figure out how it's going to unravel, but I'm really concerned. Is this government going to be now, is this country now going to be run on the basis of surveys, SMS polls, TV opinions?
Let us not forget history, as the history begins today or with some people. No, history, we had a past, we have a present, we will have a future. Okay. This entire Lokpal legislation was discussed even at the time of Mr. Devagowda as Prime Minister, and the United Front government was there.
But that's part of the problem.
What I'm saying, the legislation continuously it was discussed. Now after 2G spectrum scam, after CWG scam, after other housing scam,
it's got a momentum of its own.
It has become an imperative, and the country needs a strong legislation.
I have to take a break. We're going to take one more very quick break, and then final comments from everyone when we return. That's in a minute or so. Welcome back to The Big Fight. We are trying to take stock of the Anna Sonia meeting today and also what the all-party meeting is going to come up with tomorrow and whether we are going to get a good anti-corruption bill. Just enough time for final comments. 15 seconds each, please. And I'm going to start with you, Kiran Bedi.
This bill, if comes the way the government has drafted, is not going to be accepted by a common man. I'm not talking people. Common man. There's going to be huge agitations all over the country. It would show a very strong disconnect between our elected representatives and what a common man wants. I urge with folded hands, before the MPs come to the parliament, they must test it out with their own constituencies. And before, so they may vote by their conscience and not by the whip of the parliament, by whip of the party.
All right, Kiran Bedi, Tiripat Gamkar, final quick thoughts.
Only request to the political class, don't back this maudlin moralizing that's been going on. Get back to checks and balances within the parliamentary system. And secondly, that is the only way that you can put an end to what we've been witnessing. Please let this Ramdev Anna show not degenerate into a Tom and Jerry show.
Final.
I'm still saying the passion is fine. Don't subvert the process. You will only lead to anarchy. Agitations is not what this country needs. Resolution is what it seeks.
All right.
Well, as things stands today, and I completely agree with Kiran here, that the whole thing which triggered off is large-scale corruption, which the government of the day could not check. Now, there are expectations of the common man on the streets, and he wants this issue to be tackled. What is going to happen in Parliament and outside Parliament is unpredictable, and this could be a major upheaval and a major change in the country, and the entire churning of the political process is my perception on this issue.
So, Raja, final very quick thoughts.
The country needs a very effective, strong legislation against corruption. Having said that, there is a process, as Ambedkar said, taking into account the effective public pressure that has been built. We should resort to constitutional and democratic means to enact a law, and Parliament is supreme, and Parliament with its collective wisdom will have to enact a strong legislation which can put an end to corruption, which can curb corruption.
Fine, but stick to the process is what you're saying. Final thoughts from you, Renuka Chaudhary, to end the show.
I think what we did initially was that we were too democratic, where we said, okay, let's, if the civil society says this. But I don't think we can abdicate our responsibility and give up on parliamentary democracy and stoop to accommodate, this kind of threat. If we have erred, it is on the wrong side. We have there is a self-correction course.
Right.
We go to Parliament with the Lokpal, where every citizen who has voted these people to power will be debating in the House, opposition or any political party.
Right.
And with its own innate sense of checks and balances, things will evolve. Parliament will reign in this democracy.
All right. Thank you all so much for joining us. Wait for the all-party meeting tomorrow. Wait to see a strong anti-corruption bill legislated. That, at the end of the day, is what all of this should be about. You've been watching The Big Fight. We'll be back again next week.